Hi, I'm Oliver Pinniger, the best marketing intern Three Will has ever had, and this is episode 152 of the Two Bald Brothers and a Microphone podcast, where we talk about the people, process, and technology to work together better inside enterprises. This episode was recorded on March 2nd, 2018. In this episode, Danny and Tommy talk with Bob Meads, a colleague that Tommy worked with many moons ago. They find out what Bob is focusing on nowadays, which is primarily applying augmented reality to the manufacturing industry. Learn about what's coming in the next couple of years and why Bob is so excited about the opportunity to mix real-world objects with the new methods of interaction. As a bonus in the conversation, you'll get movie references to The Matrix and Spaceballs. Those Ryan boys aim to please. Enjoy this episode and thanks for listening.
Hello and welcome to the Two Bald Brothers and a Microphone podcast. This is one of the Bald Brothers, Danny Ryan. I'm here with Tommy Ryan. Hey, Tommy.
Hey, Danny.
How are you doing?
Good.
Good. Welcome back. I think the last couple podcasts you haven't been there with me. It's just been the lone bald brother.
Yeah.
So good to have you back here. Tommy's here in the room. We've got three folks in here. We have Bob Meads. Bob Meads, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, guys. How you doing?
Man in the flesh.
The man in the flesh.
The man in the room with hair.
That's right.
And Bob wanted to learn what not to do for a podcast, and I told you, Bob, we can show you what not to do.
That's outstanding. I can use all the bad experience I can get.
Learn from others. That's a very important thing. Absolutely an important thing. So, just to get us kicked off here, how do you guys know each other? What's the background between Tommy Ryan and Mr. Bob Meads?
Well, we met back in the days of Siemens. So Bob is more that traditional engineer that knew about HMIs and programming, and my kind of world into the programming world was going to Siemens. I was a chemical engineer and looked at Siemens as a way to get into information technology.
Yeah.
And we met there, and we were on a hotline.
Yeah, the
helping
WinCC
customers.
hotline out of
Yeah.
Alpharetta. That's right. And I had just gotten my degree. I was ex-Navy submarines, and then I went to school to be a software developer. So my first job as a software developer was Siemens, and then Tommy came on, and he was more of a technical sales. Had lots of fun experiences with large customers, if I can remember, and
Drilling oil.
yeah, and he taught me how to talk nice to customers and things like that. So had a lot of great experiences, and we've certainly kept in touch from our Siemens days.
And everything you guys learned about technology comes back to the relationship with Emilio Matt. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
Emilio. Surely he's going to be listening to this at some point. How you doing, E?
Excellent. So that's a neat background. You've stayed in manufacturing now and have
Yes.
started your own company. Tell me more about that.
Well, I've actually got two companies.
Okay.
I started a company called iQuest 20 years ago this year when I left Siemens, if you can believe it. And I started out doing consulting for WinCC, which is the SCADA that Siemens has, and I knew quite a bit about it. And I branched out into doing entire plants, doing PLC programming and things like that. So I got a partner. We have a machine shop. We build panels, and I'm always kind of looking at what's coming next, what technology's coming next. So I've kind of progressed with that. And when the iPad 2 came out, we started at looking at ways that we could use that out on the plant floor,
Okay.
other than just, hey, here's a portable computer, because that's not the point of a mobile device, right? So we started a company called IQ Agent, and we're looking at this iPad, and my partner Patrick Meir and I were kind of sitting around thinking about, okay, how can we do this? And he said, well, let's do a SCADA client, an HMI client, but put it on an iPad. And I said, well, that's not interesting. That's what they already have. They already have those screens. And we pitched a few ideas around. I think he got a little irritated with me because I kept knocking him down. And finally he says, well, what do you want to do with it? And I said, I want to look at the plant through my iPad, and when it sees a machine it recognizes, I want it to pop up all the data that we have about that machine. And that's what IQ Agent does. And so we started we got a developer. We started banging out code. Got a prototype in late 2011. We put in for a couple of patents that we were awarded, and so we started IQ Agent, and that's about 80% of my focus today.
Wow. And then you started and this is, the background has been primarily with Microsoft software, and now with you're getting into the AR stuff now. So it's HoloLens, and
how did
things come along?
We're actually doing with IQ Agent. We started out on iPads, which is iOS, because the iPad 2 was really, it was the first hardware that could run what we wanted it to do. It had an accelerometer. It had a really good camera. It was fast, and people wanted to use it. So we started developing for that. And as other people caught up, like Microsoft came out with the Surface tablets, and so we created a client for that. It's up on the Windows Store as well. And then the wearables, when HoloLens came out, it was pretty awesome. We were very interested in it, and what we always wanted to do was do a fully augmented reality application. So the HoloLens allowed us to do that. Now with Apple, they have ARKit, which we've created another version of IQ Agent called IQ Agent AR that works with tablets and phones, and it allows us to do similar things that we can do on the Microsoft platform. And we also have an Android version. So we're trying to hit all the platforms that people are going to use with it.
Interesting. So now it's you've moved beyond just Microsoft and looking at sort of what's the device that somebody has in their hand typically.
Yeah, that's right. We like doing native apps because we take, like with the HoloLens, we can use the stuff that HoloLens has to put out holograms out on the plant floor. Place pieces of data, documents, and schematics around the areas of the equipment where it makes sense. We do that in other ways out on iOS simply because it's a different platform. It's got different strengths and weaknesses.
Nice. I love that you're passionate about this AR stuff. I can tell. I
really
can tell you're excited about it, and that's wonderful. That's just good stuff.
I have goosebumps. I actually have goosebumps.
So you tell me more, and start me off at a high level. Sort of you were earlier describing I know virtual reality is you're in a completely different place. You're not seeing anything about reality, and then you have augmented reality where it's combining what you see with additional information.
Yeah.
Just imagine I don't know. I know this is going to be tough.
Right.
Imagine I don't know anything about what you're talking about. What? Just give me a definition of what the different types of reality are.
This is kind of important, and I see a lot of questions like this. Virtual reality is when we're creating an entire world, and so gaming is a really good use of this. So if you think about Halo, or you think about some of these other games where you put a headset on and everywhere you look, you're looking at that world. Now at this point you can't see the real world, so you have to kind of restrain yourself. You can't do virtual reality in the middle of your kid's playroom because you're going to start stepping on Legos and tripping over furniture. So virtual reality, basically we're just recreating everything. Then we have what we call informed reality, which is really just kind of like a heads-up display when you have a live view, maybe through a camera, and we're just popping up relevant information based on things in there. It's not really part of the world, but we see it. So if you watch football, and you see they do the yellow lines for the first down and things like that, some people call that augmented reality, some call it informed reality, where they're putting up data. Augmented reality, basically what that means is we're actually creating computer-generated objects that look like they're part of the real world. So, you could put out a globe, and you're viewing it through your mobile device, and you could walk all the way around the globe, and you could move the globe, and you could see the globe, and it would look like it's actually there, maybe sitting on your desk, but it's not. So we're viewing that. And then we have what Microsoft, I believe, has started calling mixed reality. And the difference between augmented reality and mixed reality is the level of interaction and occlusion. So with augmented reality, a lot of these apps, if you put something up and somebody walks between you and where that object apparently is, you don't lose sight of that object. It's still kind of in your field of view. With mixed reality, it's different. If someone walks between it, then you wouldn't, you may not see the object, or if it's behind a door, it might occlude part of it. And plus, I have the ability to interact with that. And Microsoft uses the term holograms. I think it's dead on. It's really relevant. But that's does that answer your question about the different types of realities that are out there now?
You should have come in here this morning and had a red pill and a blue pill and say, Danny, which one do you want?
I left them out in the car, man. As I'm gonna start breaking out.
You want the truth?
Yeah, I'm telling you, start breaking out my.
You're gonna start talking about jacking into the Matrix and stuff like that. No, leave that alone.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I watch that movie every weekend.
So where are we going? So you let's talk about what you're working on now, where you see this going. Give me paint the picture there.
Well, augmented reality and mixed reality is what we're very, very interested in IQ Agent. And when I first launched the product back in 2012, we called it practical augmented reality because what we were doing is basically what we could. We use QR codes to identify pieces of equipment, and there's a lot of cool technology out there, object recognition, network triangulation, and stuff like that. None of that stuff is really deterministic, and a lot of that stuff is not really ready for the plant floor. And when you start trying to add infrastructure to support your app in a plant, that's pretty much when you get shut down. But QR codes are no problem. So we use QR codes, and we had the idea of creating points of interest out in a plant, just like Google Maps. Yeah. But a point of interest in a plant might be a motor, it might be the output of a production line or whatever. And so our original app, it would find that QR code, it would scan it, it would know exactly what equipment it was and where it's at. And then it would pop up what we call a POI display. Would show live data coming out of the PLC or the SCADA system. You could chart it. We could pull up the schematics. We could watch a video on how to change a filter, stuff like that. Now, since Apple has come out with ARKit, we can go one further. So we use the same backend, the same POI configuration. But now when we scan the QR code with ARKit, it uses the POI to tell it what data is relevant to this AR scene. And it also gives us a physical frame of reference so that when I place objects like a speed by a speed sensor or something like that, we have a frame of reference so I know that it's going to stay there. So what we're doing with ARKit is basically that. We're using the QR code, you scan it, and then you can create a scene on a machine by placing live data points around sensors, videos, voice recordings, schematics around the areas where it matters. So like if there's a filter, I might place a video of how to change that filter right where the filter is or something like that.
Nice.
And you can actually save that, and then anyone else using the IQ Agent AR app scans that QR code, that scene's instantly created you're right then. So it's not just on that mobile device, it's global. And we're really excited about that. And the beauty of what augmented reality does, and it's a game changer. I mean, this is a paradigm shift happening right now. And I'll explain why I think that in a moment. But basically, with augmented reality, one of the things is we can place data in context to the real world. We don't have to think about it. And I think we talked about this before, but if you know about manufacturing plants and the plant floor, we've come full circle in about 30 or 40 years. Because before we had programmable logic controllers, when we built machines, we had to put all the indications and the measurements about how it was doing right there. That's where it made sense. So we would have valves, we would have gauges, we would have lights. It's all wired in, right? And so we could look at the machine and we could know what's doing. Well, when we got PLCs in the 70s, after the transistor was invented, it allowed us to create programmable logic controllers. And so we didn't have to have all this physical information right there. We would put the sensors in, and then we would wire it back to a computer. So now you've got a guy in a control room that's looking at a really a virtual representation of that machine. Maybe it's a motor or a pump. And I've got a little drawing of a gauge, and it's got a little needle on it, and I've got a pressure indicator, I got a temperature indicator, but it's all in the computer, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's great because I can be in one place and see all the information about the machine, The bad news is you're not at the machine. You can't. So if a maintenance guy walks up to a machine today, he can't see anything because all that stuff is sitting on some 2D display somewhere. This is the problem that we are solving. And so with augmented reality, I can take all the visualization components that are on that SCADA screen and actually place them in context of the real world, augmented reality, so I can put my gauges and my dials and my switches right back where they need. And I can use that. I can see that on my mobile device. I can see it on my HoloLens. I can see it on, I believe that Apple's coming out with some glasses. Tim Cook, get on that, man. I can see it on my Apple glasses. And so it's full circle. And the reason why I think this is such a paradigm change is because there are a lot of electronics manufacturers out there that sell displays, HMI displays that people are putting their expensive OEMs are embedding these HMI displays. Why? So that people can see information about the machine. When we have augmented reality and the operator can just simply put on a pair of glasses or pull out their phone and view the machine through that, they can not only see all the information about the machine, but they can customize it and put it exactly where it makes sense to them. And they don't have to pay the price for that panel. We don't have to pay somebody to wire it. We don't have to buy that electronics. So I think that very soon all of these electronics manufacturers that are creating these HMI displays and panels and things like that are going to be getting a lot less sales because of the rise of augmented reality.
And traditionally, manufacturing is a technology laggard. It's interesting to see this, where you have a technology that's coming into play where it could actually drive innovation into other
tell you,
industries.
Tommy and I were talking about this, and when Tommy and I were at Siemens, we both remember when Windows NT came out, and it took a long time for the plant floor to get on Windows NT, and then remember, I think Windows 95 had come out. And it took a long time for people to really embrace that and things. And what do you think? The lag was like, really 5 to 7 years for new technology for plants. And what I'm seeing with things like augmented reality, I've got some major customers using this. Major household names, pharmaceutical companies, textile companies. And every big company that I get into and I'm successful with, I'm selling to the same job title, and that job title has something like either external technology acquisition, innovation, things like that. And basically, part of these people's job description is to go out and look at new technology, augmented reality, Internet of Things, mobility. And they know that they can profit from these, and they know the use cases of these types of things. So they have people going out and looking to go out, identify technology, doing a pilot, doing a use case, see if it's really going to work, and then they go roll it out. That's where I've been really successful getting my technology into some big companies.
That's awesome. So when so right now what sort of are people prototyping this now inside of organizations, or what does it look like as it stands today? If I went to a typical manufacturing plant, do you see people with HoloLens on, or how far off are we from that being something that's a part of?
Well, the biggest thing, I've actually sold product for people who only want to use HoloLens.
Okay.
But you don't see people with HoloLens a lot out on the plant floor. It's still kind of big. It's still kind of bulky. Microsoft came out a couple of months ago and said, hey, we have the HoloLens has this certain safety rating. There's some bigger safety ratings that people want. But it's just, the HoloLens is great. It's cool. If you haven't seen it, go on YouTube, look at some of the videos. But it's not something I could comfortably wear for a long time. And then there's other factors like, when you start putting things in people's field of vision and they're out on a plant floor, then safety, right? So with the HoloLens, we're seeing it mostly in labs. And we're seeing it in environments where they know the technology is coming. They know that it's going to be useful. The headset, the hardware is not quite ready. However, it's coming. HoloLens, and this is my opinion now, HoloLens is so far ahead of anything that's on the market that they announced they're going straight to Generation 3 in I think in 2019. They're not even doing Gen 2, and I believe that that's because There's other stuff out there. DaQri's got a pretty good solution. It's kind of expensive, in my opinion. There's some kind of pros and cons on it against the HoloLens. Magic Leap, we don't really know if they have anything yet other than lots of money because we haven't actually seen anything. Vuzix has got some nice stuff. I'm still kind of digging into that. But nobody has the really comfortable safety-rated glasses yet.
Okay.
I predict we're going to see those in 2019. And when we do, and this is a point that somebody made, we've got the IQ Agent AR app for our iPhones and for iPad Pros. And so we're placing data in context of the real world, and you can hold the tablet up and you can view these data points as if they're part of the real world. Mm-hmm. Now, that's really cool, but it's not as useful as regular IQ Agent where you just scan the QR code and you got the data, simply because I have to hold my arm in a place to see this data. And so people say, well, that's not as useful. And they're correct. They're absolutely correct. So they said, Bob, why did you spend all this money creating this app? And I did it because I know that we're going to get Apple glasses. Yeah. And the day those Apple glasses come out, my IQ Agent AR app is going to be from very cool to this is something I have to have on the plant floor because now we're hands-free. And you just put the glasses on, and then IQ Agent works. We see this data. So I know
building the app. You can build the apps now.
Oh, you can build them now. Absolutely.
Those practices, and then it even more powerful.
Well, the thing is, one of the unique things about the business model we have is if you take somebody who's just doing AR, they're banging out AR and say, hey, here's a HoloLens and here's our AR app or here's our DaQri, whatever. If you're not using it as AR with that platform, it's useless. It doesn't help you. So unless you can find an immediate use case, you're not going to get your ROI. HoloLens is $3,000. DaQri glasses, I think, are like $5,000. With IQ Agent, you can put it out there right now, and it's going to work on any iPhone, any iPad, any Android device now. If you want to get into AR, great. It already works. You go get an AR-capable iPhone, whatever, it works. If you want to do HoloLens, it just works. So we've tried to reduce that risk of having too much technology and things like that. We tried to really reduce that. But yes, you can build it now, you can use it now, and I call that future proofing.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I didn't hear anything you said after you said the word DaQri, so that just sort of threw me off.
DaQri?
It's Friday, you know that?
It's not that kind of DaQri. DaQri's actually a cool company. They've got this. And are you familiar with their?
I'm not. No,
they
I'm familiar with DaQris, but not that.
These aren't flavored DaQris,
okay.
But DaQri is DaQri. They have an augmented reality helmet, it was pretty expensive when it came out, but you can build augmented reality apps, augmented reality based procedures. They've just recently come out with glasses that are a lower cost that you can do the same thing. They use a different method than than HoloLens does. It's all voice controlled, voice and gaze, where HoloLens uses gestures. And personally to me, the DaQri system is nice, but I like using gestures. And I think going forward, when we talked about a paradigm shift away from 2D displays, that includes the keyboard and the mouse. All right, those are the Betamaxes of UI. And those things are going away. When we get our glasses, I don't want to pull up a virtual keyboard and type stuff on it. Why would I do that? I want to do gestures. I want to speak. I want to use voice. I want to point at things and interact in that way. And so gestures are really just a natural extension of that.
And I haven't heard anything you said since you said the word helmet. I've been thinking about Spaceballs.
Yeah, I get the same thing, man. It's funny. I watched that movie. I just cackle my butt off.
I see
and that movie
is dark, as big as mine.
Yeah, that's right. Dark helmet. Yeah, it's funny, and it's John Candy's role in that. I'm a dog, part man, part dog. I'm my own best friend. Yeah, my son just looks at me. He's like, "What are you doing?" He doesn't get that kind of humor.
Well, I've seen the places where Tommy and I have seen the, in particular the HoloLens is One is we saw there's a demo that Microsoft does where you have people collaborating. We do a lot of enterprise collaboration.
Holoportation.
And the idea of people working across Microsoft Teams and being in different locations and seeing physical objects together and working on those objects. That's one place we've seen it where Microsoft's trying to drive sort of this is where we can go with this. It's not only, you don't even have to be in the same room together to interact with something like that. Which is cool.
And the whole idea of holoportation or holographic collaboration, and they show the demo where the guy and his daughter comes in, and and I think that's coming. I mean, you have to have pretty specialized equipment right now to actually have that experience. But people want that experience, and there's a lot of science fiction books out there that talk about a time when you just kind of go into a room and then now boom, you're in a meeting and it's just like you're there. I think that's coming as well, because we're going to have that technology. Basically, all you're going to have to do is digitize yourself and have and have an avatar that can be recreated. And
emojis.
Well, but I was going to bring that up because Apple has already shown us, and I think you can do this on Google now. But the animojis, where it's doing what you call a dot scatter on your face, and then basically the size and angular changes of those dots gives you feedback, and so the animoji can actually mimic your facial expression. Well, think about that. Extend that out a little bit, and then we can easily imagine an avatar of ourselves having a conversation with someone somewhere else, and it's just like we're face to face. Because why do we want to meet with people face to face? It's because we convey information through body posturing and facial expressions, and you don't get that over a phone call, and you don't necessarily get it as much over a video call. But with where I think that technology is going, you would get all of this stuff, and I think it's part of it. So.
Tommy and I were talking this morning about emotional bank account. I just want to have these HoloLens to put them on, and when my wife comes in the room to see her maybe I don't want to see this, her emotional bank account. It's the whole idea of whether you're... Well, I want a heads-up display on people's emotional bank accounts.
the thing is, we're going to a part where we're, you talk about the singularity, and are you guys familiar with Ray Kurzweil's work? And we're all going to be robots in 2045. That's basically that's where he's going with it. He's not crazy. He's written a lot of books on it, but I do believe that we are constantly digitizing ourselves, and it's going to be to a point of where if you have augmented reality or mixed reality built into glasses, contact lenses, direct brain implant, if you think about it, if I had that technology, why would anybody ever create a physical sign? Why would anybody create directions? You would, in the real world, it would be featureless buildings, but everybody's augmented and they see the signs and they see the lights and and things like that. I think ultimately that's probably where it's going. But I've read science fiction stories that talk about the ability, kind of like you said, where if I didn't like somebody in the room, it would erase them out of it. I literally would not see them. They literally not see me. Yeah, seriously.
Tommy's like, I haven't seen Danny in years.
It's like, where did he go? Why is that coffee cup floating?
Well, the other place that Tommy and I have seen it is there's a restaurant that creates an addictively delicious chicken sandwich.
Oh yeah.
And the whole concept of building out new stores and prototyping new stores, they basically had a room with that they could work on these prototyping what the next version of their store was and seeing that. So I think that's another place where people, it's a physical thing too. So they're trying to simulate what's the next version of a store look like
in terms of flow. Of, how do you serve the customer?
Where's this going to go? How's this going to affect when I put it here? And
they talk about introducing, say, a new product that you want to sell. Well, how are you going to make it? Where are they going to stand? How does that flow in the store? And is that viable? Because they're always competing with the footprint
Yep.
and
Yeah.
making sure they give the
Yep.
best customer experience.
Well, IKEA does that. IKEA actually has an app that allows you to say, "Hey, I want this table,"
Yeah.
and you can actually put it in your room, and I believe that it's scaled exact, and you see exactly how it's going to look, and will it fit in that space. Coca-Cola has an app, and it's really for vendors that if they want to get one of the new Coke machines that does all the mixing and stuff, it shows them what it would look like and things like that. I foresee these types of apps where I'm trying on clothes, or I'm trying on, certain things, and it basically just portrays it on you. I mean, I think there's already stuff out there that does the same thing.
Yep. We're coming up on our 30 minutes. Is it when you're talking about stuff you love to talk
Man, I'm
about? It
telling
just
you.
flies
Yeah.
by, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Well, thank you for taking the time to do this, and I'll share everything. We're joking about what not to do with podcasts. I wish you best of luck, and my only piece of advice is just do it.
Yeah,
Just do it. It's not going to be. It's like anything. You just have to try going after it for a while, and also with anything, just have low expectations.
Yeah,
and then build, and then learn, and then build, and then learn.
That marketing and things like that, it's just not going to happen overnight.
Yep.
You can't just create a Twitter account and have 50,000 followers the next day that mean anything. And it's the same
you can
thing
pay
with this.
for them and have 50,000.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying, but they don't mean
Right.
anything.
Yeah,
They really don't
Yeah.
mean anything. But I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you guys.
Absolutely.
You guys have a great business.
Well, thank you.
I
Appreciate that.
appreciate working with you.
Yeah.
So, hey.
Stay in touch, and next time maybe you'll bring some stuff with you to show us as well.
Yeah, we'd have to do a video version of this, but I do have some really cool stuff to show. Would love to do that.
So tell me, what's the best way of people to get in touch with you? Is it through a website? Is it through Twitter? Is it through something else? Or
Well, if you just go to iqagent.com, iqagent.com, we've got videos on all the different platforms. You can see what IQ Agent looks like on the HoloLens, on the RealWear HMT1, which is a wearable, something that we're very excited about, on the iPad. You can, if you have one of these devices, even an iPad or an iPhone, we have a demo kit that you can download that's got the QR codes, and you can just scan it, and you can create AR scenes, or you can see exactly how it looks. So that's really the best way. If you want to take a look at the product or get in touch with me, go to iqagent.com. That's iqagent.com.
Excellent. You want to say that 3 more times?
There you go. Yeah, I got to get my announcer voice out.
You want to go to HTTP? Well, thank you for doing this. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.